boy Icon here, and it is Elimination Chamber night. We're going over the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, which is feeding into the road to WrestleMania. So let's get right into it and talk about some of the BS that occurred here on the pre-show. When the pre-show started, they basically said that they were removing Keith Lee from the United States Championship match because Vince McMahon is a dumbass who's getting too old and senile, and he cannot spot talent. I actually don't know what the actual reason they gave as to why Keith Lee isn't going to be in the match, but whatever it is, I'm sure it's some backstage Vince McMahon BS. So they ended up doing like a fatal four-way to determine who would take his place, which was also stupid to me because if Keith Lee's out of the match, then just have Riddle and Lashley fight a straight up one-on-one. It didn't have to remain a triple threat match. So they did a fatal four-way match to decide who gets to be in the triple threat match. And the details are irrelevant. John Morrison won the match, and John Morrison has been added to the United States Championship match, so it's going to be Riddle versus Morrison versus Lashley. And that was the pre-show match, and we're kicking off the actual show. The opening match was the Smackdown Elimination Chamber to see who gets to face the Tribal Chief for the Universal Championship immediately after the Elimination Chamber. So let's just skip on down to the end here because, you know, like a lot of the participants, everybody put up a good fight. It came down in the end to Daniel Bryan and Jey Uso, and Daniel Bryan, he got the victory. He beat Jey Uso, and after going through a grueling Elimination Chamber match, Daniel Bryan got an immediate championship match with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns comes out. He tried to spear Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan actually saw that coming. He countered that into the yes lock, but Roman Reigns was able to power out of it. And then obviously because of the size difference, you know, and after going through an Elimination Chamber match, Daniel Bryan couldn't withstand the power, and Roman Reigns beat him, defeated Daniel Bryan 1, 2, 3 in the ring. After he defeated him, Roman Reigns was holding the championship up high, celebrating his victory, and then out of nowhere, he got speared by Edge, and Edge pointed to the WrestleMania sign and was talking trash to Roman Reigns. So we now know we're getting Edge versus Roman Reigns, which will be the actual main event of WrestleMania. I don't think it was really a surprise because the way Edge was talking this whole time about how, you know, Roman Reigns really needs him to be the main event and everything, like we pretty much saw it going in this direction. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Edge getting the match versus Roman Reigns because it will be a big name match, a big money match, and it hopefully leaves the door open for Bobby Lashley to face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship because that's still the matchup that I want to see. But unfortunately, Daniel Bryan is the person who gets, you know, like the raw end of the stick. But, you know, because everybody was saying like, oh, Daniel Bryan's going to fight Roman, you know, at WrestleMania before. Well, he got his match and he lost. So we'll see what Daniel Bryan does going into Mania. But at least now we know we're getting Edge versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Okay, the next matchup was some bullshit, but I'll allow it under the circumstances. So it's the Triple Threat United States Championship match. John Morrison versus Riddle versus Lashley. And Lashley flat out dominated the entire match. He was whooping both their ass for the whole fight. They got no offense whatsoever, you know, unless they try to double team him. So in the end, it got to a point because, you know, MVP has a leg injury and he was out there with crutches. John Morrison had taken the crutches, you know, from MVP at one point, and John Morrison figured, he was like, look, Lashley's whipping both of our asses. It's a triple threat match. There's no disqualification. I'm just going to take these crutches and I'm going to hit Lashley with these crutches to try to get the cheap victory. Didn't work. Lashley put him in the hurt lock, and then Riddle gets in the ring. He picks up the crutches, and then he proceeds to beat up Lashley with the crutches. Lashley falls out of the ring. He waffles Morrison with the crutches, hit his bro finisher or whatever, and then Matt Riddle basically just stole the United States Championship. Lashley didn't get pinned. And I thought that was very interesting. It was very interesting that Lashley didn't get pinned. So Riddle never actually beat Lashley. He basically beat John Morrison. So the whole reason why they made it a triple threat was so Morrison could take the pin. But as much as I am a huge Bobby Lashley fan, I'm not upset. Well, I won't be upset about him losing the U.S. title if he goes on to face Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Because the matchup that I've been talking about, I wanted from day one, was Lashley versus Drew Mac, because the Hurt Business is hot right now. You know, well, they had majority of the gold. So to give Lashley the WWE Championship by beating Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania is an accolade that he needs on his resume and something that he deserves. So hopefully they go in that direction, and then Riddle can probably fight like Cedric Alexander or somebody for the United States Championship. So we'll see. Like I said, like I'm not gonna have a heart attack over the fact that Lashley lost the gold until I see what they do going forward. But congrats to Riddle, and like I said, let's just see how this all plays out leading up to Mania. After that, we got the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler versus the Boss Sasha Banks and Bianca Belair. I don't know why they acting like Bianca not going to challenge Sasha Banks for this championship and why they're dragging it out, but they're dragging it out. The girl hasn't even gone to NXT. She went to Raw once. I'm like, clearly she's picking Sasha Banks, and like I said, I just don't understand why they're dragging this out. So anyway, so the tag team match gets underway, and it's a decent match. The match was decent. Like, it wasn't like a 5-star classic or anything, but it came down to the end. Like, Sasha was the legal person, and I forget how Bianca ended up on the floor, but whatever happened to Bianca, which is why she ended up on the floor, I don't think was that devastating to the point where it kept her down for as long as it did, but she was down for a while, and Reginald, for some reason, because Reginald seems to be a part of the women's tag team. I mean, Reginald's a part of the Smackdown women's division, and I have no idea why. Reginald comes down. He passes Sasha Banks a bottle of champagne and tells her to crack it over Nia Jax's head. Sasha takes the bottle and she's like, "Look, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to cheat." She gets blindsided. Nia Jax puts her in the Samoan drop, gets the 1-2-3 victory. Sasha Banks took the pin, and then it ends with Sasha and Bianca basically cursing out Reginald for getting himself involved with the match. I have no idea why Reginald's involved in any of this. I don't know where Carmella fits into all this, and she shouldn't, because Carmella had multiple opportunities and she lost. Carmella and Reginald should have nothing to do with this. And when Bianca finally does pick Sasha officially, to face at WrestleMania, I hope that Carmella and Reginald stay far away from it and we just get the one-on-one that we want. So like I said, it was a tag team match. I don't know what it accomplished or what it furthered, because it definitely didn't further anything between the Sasha-Bianca situation. Like I said, I don't know what the point of this was, but it is what it is. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, they're going to NXT on Wednesday to defend the tag titles, and we're still waiting for Bianca to pick Sasha Banks. And finally, the last match was the Raw Men's Elimination Chamber match, and this was very interesting. So we'll just skip ahead. Unfortunately, we didn't get a repeat of Kofi Mania. The last two competitors ended up being Drew McIntyre and AJ Styles. AJ Styles went for the phenomenal forearm off the top rope. Drew McIntyre hit him with a Claymore kick in midair. He pins AJ Styles, and Drew McIntyre retains the WWE Championship after going through an Elimination Chamber match. This brings out the almighty Bobby Lashley, and I fell out of the couch because I swear to Christ, I've been screaming for the last 2 years that Bobby Lashley needs to fight for the championship at WrestleMania against Drew McIntyre. And I've been saying that. I've been speaking it into existence. So now that Lashley is beating the living tar out of Drew McIntyre at ringside, I'm thinking, okay, now we're going to get the Drew McIntyre-Bobby Lashley matchup, because Lashley clearly has beef with Drew McIntyre. So, after Lashley proceeded to whoop the behind of Drew McIntyre, Lashley's leaving, and then The Miz shows up, because I forgot The Miz was Money in the Bank. The Miz shows up, cashes in Money in the Bank, and The Miz becomes the WWE Championship. None of that matters. The fact that The Miz won the belt doesn't mean anything. I mean, the rumor is we're supposed to get Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny and Damian Priest in a tag match at WrestleMania. So, the fact that The Miz cashed in the Money in the Bank contract, the fact that he's currently the WWE Champion, if they're still holding on to this Miz and Morrison versus Bad Bunny, Damian Priest match, The Miz is not going to keep that. The Miz will lose that championship at Fastlane. Drew McIntyre is going to get his rematch at Fastlane. He's going to beat The Miz. Bad Bunny's probably going to cost The Miz the championship. And then hopefully Lashley's going to swoop in, because Drew's like, "Oh, I want my revenge because Lashley, you cost me the championship at Elimination Chamber." And hopefully when WrestleMania comes, we get Lashley versus Drew McIntyre for the WWE Championship. I pray that happens, and I am severely trying to speak that into existence. And on that note, the only belts that changed hands was the WWE title and the United States Championship. I mean, the pay-per-view was decent. I give the pay-per-view a 6.5, maybe 7, but it wasn't a bad pay-per-view. It's just the outcomes to the matches weren't all that spectacular. We knew Roman Reigns wasn't going to lose the damn championship. The Miz cashing in was kind of lackluster, though the Bobby Lashley beatdown was surprising. The women's tag match was kind of the ending was kind of dry, and I didn't like how Riddle cheated his ass off to win the U.S. title, but it is what it is. Don't know what happened to Keith Lee, but Fastlane is interesting now, so I kind of want to see what's going on in Fastlane now, and I believe Fastlane is going to be the first pay-per-view that shows up on Peacock, and this was the last official pay-per-view that we're going to get on the WWE Network solo. So we'll be switching over to Peacock, going forward. Like I said, that was it. That was my my fast review for Elimination Chamber. Like I said, decent show, not a bad show, but it wasn't a great show. So like I said, 6.5, maybe 7. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the show. What do you think of the outcomes? What do you think's going to happen now with Lashley and Miz and Drew McIntyre? Do we get a triple threat match? Does McIntyre get the belt back and then faces Lashley at Mania? Share your thoughts, comments below. Hit the notification bell. Like this, definitely hit the like button for this video. Again, check out my other videos when we're doing reviews for WandaVision, Black Lightning, Batwoman, Superman and Lois. Like, we're doing all the superhero stuff, and we got some wrestling too. So thanks for tuning in, guys, for the Elimination Chamber. Until Fastlane, take care, and I'm out this.